නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. Good morning everyone. Today in this early morning we are going to start a dhamma talk. For our today dhamma talk I have chosen a very small stanza but very profound stanza from book of Dhammapada. As we all know about the book of Dhammapada, it is full of stanzas, particularly 426 stanzas or gathas are compiled in 26 chapters in this book. I have chosen one of them to explain here today. The subject of this stanza is the mind. From this stanza, our Lord Buddha has pointed out some very good factors which will help us to know about the mind. Our life is divided into two parts basically, body and mind. So then there is another explanation in Buddhism. According to that, the life has been explained as 5 aggregates. The aggregate of body or matter is all about our body. So then when it comes to the consciousness part, it has again been divided into 4 parts, including the consciousness. The aggregate of feelings, aggregate of perception, aggregate of mental concomitants, and the aggregate of consciousness. These are the divisions, these are the parts of our life. So even though we know somewhat about our body, still we haven't seen our mind because it has no form. It is not a physical thing. Due to that problem, which means as we can't see our mind, our knowledge about our mind is very poor. So we don't have much about knowledge how this mind works. And when negative emotions arise in our mind, most of people don't know how to handle them. It happens the lack of understanding about the mind. So therefore, if we can know about more and more about our mind, which will enormously help us to control our and find good solution to control or suppress down the negative emotions, because negative emotions make us lot of problem, right? So lot of mental problems. So therefore it is very vital, very important to know about the mind. First of all, I would like to recite this stanza. Today I am going to explain. Then we can go for the explanation. Dunnigahassa lahuno yatta kama nipatino chittassa damato sadhu chittang dantang sukavaham. This is the stanza. According to that, Dunni gahas. Mind is not easily insulted or blamed by anyone. Lahuno, mind has mind movements. They just arise and disappear. That is the nature of the mind. Then yatta kama nipatinam. Mind has its own preferences or willingnesses. According to that willingnesses or preferences, mind follows behind objects. Then Chittassa Dhammato Sadhu. Lord Buddha has made a suggestion, and if someone can tame the mind, it is the best thing that individual can ever do to his life, because Chittang Dantang Sukhavahang. Lord Buddha says, if someone can tame his mind, from that tamed mind he can experience a enormous amount of happiness or consolation or serenity. That is the simple translation of this stanza. First line was the Dunnigas. Nigas here means insulting or blaming. From the do word, it refers the hard or the it is difficult. Mind is not easily blamed. If we want to insult to this mind, it is not easily done. That is simple meaning of this line. If we want to blame or criticize or insult someone, discriminate someone, at least we should know about that person somewhat. If we don't know anything about the person that we are going to insult or blame, our insultation or our blame is not easily done. It's not a successful one, because if we do kind of insultation due to hate, from that insultation or that from that blame we expect to let that person down from his social status, from his fame, from his any type of positive states. So if we don't do correctly our insultation using the right words, sometimes those words that we use to insult him may help him to gain his social recognition, social states more and more, which means our insultation hasn't worked quite well. So if we know about the person's personal background, his lifestyle, and how he earns money and like those things, if we know about that person's background quite well, so then by focusing to the negative side of that person's life, so then we can make an insultation, make a blame towards him. Probably it will work, because from that insultation his social states, social recognitions will be lost, right? So that should be expected. Sometimes that will help us to make a bad reputation on him. I'm not trying to that emphasize or that to say that the doing insultation is a good thing, but I try to figure out our simple, our normal uh, intention of doing insultation. So if we want to insult someone, our normal intention, our general intention of doing is let that person down from his status. That is our intention if we do it hatefully, right? So even if we want to insult or blame, suppress down this mind, which means the negative emotions, if we don't know about that much about the negative emotions, their natures, so then we are not able to do that insultation, that suppress down quite well, because that lack of understanding about the negative emotions, their natures. Sometimes we get angry over different things. So when the anger is hitting to our mind, we feel so tired, so restless, very uncomfortable, we can't focus. So due to these bad negative experiences, we want to suppress down this anger. So then we follow up different methods to do that. Sometimes after applying some methods to control this anger down, sometimes we experience our anger is gaining more and more. It is growing more and more because we haven't used the right method, right application to the anger to control it down, right? So therefore it is vital that knowing about the emotions, its nature, so because it different time to time. The anger is not it's same in the all the time that arises to our mind, right? So we have to investigate that the nature. So then after investigating the nature of the emotions, not only about the anger, even other emotions also, desire, craving, and the jealous, then the conceit, there are a lot of negative emotions, bad emotions. So we have to investigate, we have to observe first of all the nature of these negative emotions. So then after doing some examines, so then we can find out some good solution to control them down. It is just like a doctor. If we go to a doctor, right, so we then explain our problem to the doctor. So then doctor examine our problem. After coming to a conclusion, after doing quite good observation about our problem, so then doctor prescribes some medicine. So then we feel after applying, after taking few doses of those medicine, within few time we feel we are getting better because doctor has observed the problem quite well. Then he has been able to prescribe the best medicine to control that problem. That's why within few doses of those medicine we are getting better, right? So it should be expected. Just like that, if we can observe our emotions quite well, right, so then we can apply some good solution to control them. Only that person who has good understanding about the nature of the emotions can can find some good solution and apply them quite well. Otherwise, people who don't have good understanding about these nature of the uh, negative emotions always can't find a good solution. Sometimes the method that they use to control the anger will be a cause to develop, to grow that negative emotions in the mind more and more into higher level, right? So if we concern about again the anger, sometimes we, when the anger is growing in our mind, we feel to overcome to that problems, if we can hit someone, if we can blame someone, right? So using bad words and using stick or sometimes if we can fight with them, we feel that if we can overcome this problem. So if we execute according to that idea ourselves, so then what happened, this anger is growing more and more, right? So because we haven't used the right method to control it down, instead of controlling it, it is growing, right? So therefore, that's considering that fact, I think Lord Buddha has explained here the fact that it is not easy to blame or insult this mind. So it happens always due to lack of understanding. From the second term, Lord Buddha has explained the nature of the mind. Lahuno, that is the term that Lord Buddha has used. Here, Lahuno word means mind has thought moments. It is an invisible thing. It has no form, but it is a process. It just every each of second we make hundreds of, sometimes uncountable thought movements in our mind, right? They just arise and disappear, just arise and disappear, one after one, like that way. It is a process. It's not one single thing. It is a process, right? So in Buddhism, it explains that in a fraction of second made we make uncountable thought movements in our mind. Because of that fastness of the mind, we have been able to get lot of details, lot of information about things that we get from our faculties as objects within a very short time period, right? So we have 6 faculties including the mind: eye faculty, ear faculty, nose faculty, tongue faculty, then the body faculty, and the consciousness or mind faculty, right? So we can take objects from these faculties. So then after taking these objects from these faculties, we are tending to think about them. That's how we are coming to know about the things that we experience from our faculties, right? So but the thing is here, when we take an object from our eye faculty, so from our eye faculty we can only see some visual or some form, right? So when we do it, in that time we can't hear, we can't smell, we can't taste from our time faculty, we can't experience the touches of the body, right? So then like that way, our all faculties are closed when the eye faculty is working, which means we are taking objects to see. When we listen some sound, our other faculties are closed, right? So only one time we can take one object. Then there is a question, then how we can take lot of objects within a very short time period? It happens due to the fastness of the mind. It has a very, our, as I mentioned, our mind produces thought moments. Those thought moments has no long time to live. It just arises and disappears, right? So it is a very fast process. That is why we are unable to understand this mind quite easily, right? So it moves to the faculty to faculty. After taking some objects from one faculty, then it moves to again very quickly to the another faculty, right? So just that way we are able to get more and more details about the objects within a short time period, right? So for an example, if we watch a TV, right, so we can watch, we can see the image or the visuals in the TV screen, right? So in the same time we can listen the sound of the that video that we are watching. So then we can, if we eat something, we can taste that one also. If it comes a very good smell from that, or good odor from that food, we can experience that one also. If it is too cold or too hot, if we are bitten by a bitten by a mosquito, we can experience that one also. If so, we can get a lot of objects in a, we feel that we do these things in the same time, but we do these things differently in different time periods. As I mentioned, when we watch from our eye faculty, we can't listen, right? So due to this fastness of this mind, this, due to the shortness of the thought movements, it can move to faculty to faculty very quickly. So due to this process, we are able to get more and more details, lot of information about the objects within a very short time period, right? So that's what Lord Buddha here has mentioned and explained using that term lahunu. That is the nature of the mind. Due to this nature, as I mentioned even earlier on also, because we are unable to understand this mind quite easily. So for that purpose, we have to go along with the Buddhist path, and we have to train the mind at least to understand a little bit about the mind. Otherwise, ordinary people who don't practice meditation, they are not able to understand this phenomena quite well, right? So sometimes they will argue how we can do it like that way, right? So then let's move to the second line of this stanza. From that line, our Lord Buddha has mentioned the phenomena, the method that this mind works. According to that, yatta kama nipatinam. According to that, mind has its own preferences, willingnesses. It may be different to our own feelings, own willingnesses, or own desire. Sometimes we don't like to think about our enemies or bad things, unpleasant things. It doesn't matter to the mind. Mind is still thinks about those things. Sometimes we spend hours and hours due to the unmindfulness by thinking our enemies, right? So we are by thinking uh, or some about some objects which help which cause to grow the anger in our mind. Sometimes we spend hours and hours. It happens due to the unmindfulness, right? So but the because that is the nature of the mind. It has its own uh, preferences. Sometimes it happens due to the useness of some thought streams. If we have addicted to, or if we have were used to think about uh, some some objects more and more, if we have done it quite oftenly, so then our mind also automatically uh, falls into that type of streams. It doesn't matter wherever from we start to think. Sometimes due to that unmindfulness that we are in, so our mind follows behind that our normal routing of thinking. It happens sometimes due to the useness of the different stream of thoughts, right? So sometimes it happens this our mind follows the mental condition, mental environment that we are in at that time, right? So we can't stay in one type of condition with one type of condition, mental condition, for our whole life. It changes. Sometimes when we wake up in the early morning, we feel we are so restless, as we feel so upset, we are so uh, uncomfortable mentally. Sometimes we feel we get angry even for the little things. Since the early morning we can't focus for anything. Sometimes even the thing that we know very well, even that thing also we can't do it quite well, because we are so restless. There are different kind of mental condition, mental environments. It occurs some due to some reasons, but still there are some cause behind it. But most of time we are unable to understand it, the from which cause this type of mental condition uh, arise to me arouse to me like that way, right? So we are unable to understand, but there is definitely cause. Without a cause, we don't get that type of mental condition for us, right? So if we feel so angry in one time, so then there is most probably our mind, sometimes we start to think about desirable thing. But if we go along with that object, sometimes our mind will find uh, object which can turn our mind towards the uh, angry, and grow the anger more and more in our mind, because at that time we have been in a uh, angry mental condition, mental environment. So sometimes it happens. Sometimes there are some days we are so desire, we are in so much with the sensual desire, right? So and that when we are in such type of mental condition, sometimes we are not easily uh, get angry. We are not easily getting angry over things, because our mind is within another type of mental condition, right? So this type of nature mind has. So due to this nature, our mind follows behind the objects. So that's how we spend hours and hours thinking different types of things, and also uh, sometimes growing the negative emotions, sometimes even positive emotions, sometimes unmindfully. Most probably our we are growing the negative emotion in our mind due to this problem if we are so unmindful, right? So that's what Lord Buddha here has mentioned, uh, the say in the second line of this stanza, right? So mind has its own preferences. Due to that uh, its own preferences, it follows behind the objects, right? So uh, then Lord Buddha has mentioned, if someone can tame this mind, control this mind, it is the best thing that he can ever do to his life. Best thing. We have different according to our desires, according to our opinions, according to our knowledge. Sometimes we think this thing is the best thing that we should do our life. So buy a car, to buy a house, buy a property, and to have good education, and saving money, raise a family, like that. We feel this thing is the best thing. It changes time to time, right? So we had different types of best things to do in our childhood. Now as adult we have different types of things to do, considering they as best things that we should do, right? So when we are getting more and more older, that these ideas may be changed, then we will adopt another type of things to think. But here Lord Buddha has mentioned, if anyone, maybe a child, maybe a young person or adult, or anyone, if someone can control this mind, tame this mind by suppressing down the negative emotions and growing the positive emotions, which means positive, and growing the mind and the train the mind. And if someone can completely eradicate the negative emotions from his mind, right? So that is the best thing that he can ever do to his life. Chittassa dhammato sadhu. Taming mind is the best thing, because from the tamed mind we can gain enormous enormous amount of happiness, consolation for our life. We do everything by expecting happiness. We do brush our teeth, we do wash our face, we do take bath, we do eat, we do earn money, we do a lot of things since the early morning, looking here and there, listen to different things, and lot of things we do. Every each of things we do expecting some consolation, some happiness, because we know that if we don't brush our teeth, so it makes so uncomfortable feelings to us. To overcome that suffering or for that problem, we do brush our teeth. Right? So that the main cause of brushing our teeth is overcoming the suffering of not doing that, the uncomfortable that which makes us to not doing of that, which means expecting some happiness or consolation, right? So everything we do expecting that, right? So the real happiness, but those each of type of happinesses, so the comfortablenesses that we gain uh, doing those different type of things, they are so temporary things, because we will have to brush our teeth even the next morning, even at night, right? So we will have to take bath even tomorrow, right? So within one time, but within doing of one time, we can't find the happiness uh, for doing of that for our entire life, right? So it is so temporary thing. So if we can tame the mind, so from that tamed mind we can experience enormous amount of happiness, consolation, serenity, which will be us for a long time. So if someone could do that, as eradicating all the negative emotions, all the mental defilements from his mind, that happiness will be the highest happiness. That state is called liberation or nibbana. That is the highest happiness, because as a result of him, that individual could overcome, uh, could end this birth circle, great ocean of the birth circle. That is the value of taming this mind according to the Buddhist path. Right? So all the Buddhist path has laid down to eradicate, first of all, the reducing power of the negative emotions, then ultimately eradicate all the negative emotions all the time from our mind. So due to that expectation, this Buddhist path has been laid by our Lord Buddha. Right? So this is not the time we talked about that, how to practice Buddhist path, but you can do your own investigation, observation about that, and try to, first of all, stop doing bad things, stop killings, stop stealings. If you do adultery, stop doing those things. And first of all, we should, that's how we control the negative emotions, the the power of the negative emotions. So then we enter to the practicing of the concentration. Right? So we should adopt some good meditation method for objects for us, and we should go along with consistently. So then as a result of, we would be able to concentrate our mind quite well. We can earn the stillness towards our mind as practicing meditation consistently. Then we enter to the insight meditation we call vipassana. So practicing vipassana meditation intensively, we can eradicate all the mental impediments. It is not easy task. That's what we are expected to do, right? So gradually we would be able to do that. Let's focus on that and try to understand more and more about our mind. Now I'm going to wind up this talk for today. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.